All right, guys. So this is an important video. Okay, because you guys are out there building your business, networking, looking at investment opportunities, looking at opportunities. The most important thing is to know how not to get scammed. Know how to do proper due diligence, because your due diligence is everything. Okay. This is the most important aspect of anything you're doing. Do your due diligence. Understand who you're talking to. Understand what they're about. Understand, what your role is, right, in the conversation. Again, if you're in a room and you don't know who the sucker's you, right? So there's many levels. There's many different levels. But this is primarily about educating you about a lot of the scams that are out there, so you don't waste your money. This video alone will save you thousands of dollars. I promise you. There's so many scams because integrity is in rare form. So when you know someone who has a really good reputation, when you meet someone who has a lot of integrity, you know. Right? Everybody says good things about them. Maybe not everybody, but in general, you get a good feeling about them. Or what they're saying makes sense. They're willing to document it, and they're being transparent. Right? The first thing with integrity is transparency. Right? Because if you're not transparent, then you're hiding something, and there's no integrity. So I'll tell you a couple examples of common scams that I've seen. So there's one of them involves commodities, international commodities. The other involves credit, and there's many more. There's a lot of online schemes. There's also a lot of there's a lot of junk being sold as like get rich quick schemes. And so some of it is those aren't technically a scam, but if you buy like a high ticket course and the information is garbage and you paid $8,000, you got ripped off. There's no way around it. So here's what it comes down to. Do your due diligence, know what the hell you're doing, have mentors, and ask questions. Right? So, there's a lot of different ways you can get ripped off. Even if you're buying a business, you could get ripped off. People can lie about the numbers. They can, and don't put, first of all, rule number one, don't put anything past anybody. Okay? Don't put anything past anybody. If you're analyzing a business and you got the P&Ls, make sure you have a second pair of eyes looking at it. If somebody's offering you a way to make some astronomical return by investing in assets overseas, or something that involves wiring money, first of all, never wire money unless you're directly purchasing an asset. Never wire money when a third party is involved. I don't care what you're doing. Never wire money. Okay, you're only wiring money if you're directly purchasing an asset. Like real estate, and you have an escrow company involved. Otherwise, just forget about it. Okay, you'll never get the money back. Okay, so number one, when you purchase, say you purchase a high ticket course or some sort of something that say you're one of the suckers in the room and you're being upsold, and you shell out a few $1,000s and the course is garbage, and you paid with a check or you paid with some sort of wire transfer, there's not much you can do. But most of the time you'll pay with a credit card, and you can dispute those transactions with the credit card. So that's one way to protect yourself. A common scam I see is in the investment world, or I don't know, whatever you want to call the world of conniving snakes and everyone who's out for themselves and not really into creating anything, but is real estate syndicate. I met this guy who was I think it was just really stupid, but he was using credit grantors to, take people with good credit, build up their credit, and, then he would have them, take the money off the cards and pool it to buy real estate. So it was an unregistered real estate syndicate. And the more and more people I talked to, this guy had gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars out of all sorts of people. Now, and he had gotten them to sign power of attorney, gotten various documents and things saying you're basically at fault, right? If you give the guy money, you're an idiot, right? So there's a lot of scenarios where if you give somebody money and you get screwed over, you're an idiot. And you're not an idiot, but that was a really idiot move, right? But you're going to learn from it. But it's really important to know how to find these scams and how to understand, these are things that can erode your wealth over time, okay? And it's really important to know how to identify, especially investment opportunities. Look, most mutual funds don't return over 12% a year, okay? If somebody tells you that they're going to give you 12% a month or a 50% return on your money in 2 months, or then there's the Ponzi scheme, which is I'll give you 10% a day for, the next 150 days, but you can't take the money out for, 5 months. Guys, it's a scam, okay? It's a Ponzi scheme, okay? What that means is they're just taking money from everybody who's giving them money, and the first investors, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So they'll pay somebody a little bit of something, and then those people will go out and tell their friends, oh, I got paid this, I got paid that, you guys should invest. And those people go and invest, and then they got more money to pay out a few more people to go and keep building it bigger and bigger, and then it's a scam. It's fraud, okay? So you really, and with the internet, it's so easy to stand up a new company. It's so easy to stand up a new, a business, a shell LLC. So you got to be really, really, really wise. You have to be extremely wise. Because 20 years ago, all this technology didn't exist, right? So it was on a whole different level. So the level at which I'm seeing, the velocity at which I'm seeing like scams and horrible offers coming out into the marketplace is astronomical. So be wise with your money, okay? Second of all, you have to look at the overall reputation. I'll give you an example. I've invested in a lot of different courses and seminars and stuff like that. And I found that a lot of times, you kind of the $500-600 range is where you tend to get the most value packed courses and seminars. So, and offers, affiliate offers, whatever, it's kind of in that range. Okay, when you start going over $2,000-3,000, a lot of the time it's garbage. These people are just out there to rip you off. Okay, and if you're over $5,000 to like belong to some academy or something, I mean, unless you know who's behind it, it's probably a total ripoff. Okay, so here's the deal: how to avoid getting scammed. Do your due diligence. Read your numbers. Look at the integrity of the people behind it. What are they about? Who are they really? What is their past? What have they done before? What have they created? That's key. Because those are key indicators. If you've got somebody who started a new company and they were, investigated for fraud, or they were involved in some sort of really shady business before, and then they came out and repented and said, oh, I'm such a great person, I'm so sorry, and here's my new company, give me $10,000. No, okay? Don't be stupid. Okay? You're not going to get rich. Anytime you think that you're going to invest in something and you're going to get rich overnight, forget about it. Forget it. Even if you buy a course that's going to teach you something, if you know you're not going to put the work in, don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Okay? Anything that you're going to do is going to take time and money. That's what it takes. So, one thing is you can make good connections, right? It's easy to make good connections. It's easy to connect with successful people, but how are you positioning yourself in the conversation, and what's your role in the conversation? Are you a customer to some of these people, or are you, a value adder, right? Like, are you a value proposition? And so there's a lot of things to consider. I'm going to go into this deeper in another video, but there's a lot of scams. It's very easy to lose money, okay, if you're not careful. Look, the only thing you should really invest in is building a business, buying real estate, or buying securities, okay? Why is a securitized asset a good investment? Well, it's securitized. I mean, it's risky, but at least it's actually backed by something, right? If I buy a stock, it's backed by a company, right? Even if it's a shitty company. Well, it might be a really good company, you know? The difference is, what are some of the other ones? Bitcoin mining. Okay, you can spend, $2,000 and invest in a shared server for Bitcoin mining. I mean, you might make money, but you have significantly more risk, right? Because, this website, you say, there's a website that was stood up 6 months ago, and you're investing money through it, and you don't know who's behind it. You've never met the person who built the website. You've never met, the people behind the company. These are all crucial factors of how and when to invest your money. And believe me, there's a lot of opportunities to both make money and to lose money. And the hard part is even your good opportunities to make money, you still have the possibility of losing money. So you have to be extra cautious, right? You have to be doubly cautious almost, because you've got, say, even if it was 50-50, 50-50 bad investments, 50-50 good investments, right? Of the 50% of the good investments, about 50% of the time, you have the possibility of losing money, especially if you'll always have the possibility of losing money, but if you do good due diligence, you reduce that percentage, right? So you reduce that possibility percentage of losing money. So, time is the other necessity, right? So time is the most scarce resource. So if you ask, what is money? Money is scarce, in-demand resources. Well, time is a scarce resource. Now, whether or not it's in demand depends on what you do with it. So if your time is in demand, then you're doing something with it that's creating value in the marketplace. If your time's not in demand, or you're not being paid well for your time, you're not in demand. Like, you're just simply, you have to learn a new skill, or you have to, change what you're presenting out into the marketplace. That's going to give you the ability to actually have more value and increase the value on your time. Okay, so time may be a scarce resource, but the value is dependent on the actual resource, right? So for human beings, time is an essential, crucial commodity, right? Because you only have so much, and you can use it in so many ways. It can be used in so many ways. So how are you using it? That's really the question. How are you using it? If you're using it wisely, I think you would know, right? So if you want certain things to change, you have to change how you spend your time and invest your time, right? That's fundamental. That's fundamental. So especially when you're out doing business meetings and networking and meeting with people who have ideas, it's easy for people to waste your time, but it's a necessary evil. You have to go out and see, what opportunities are there, but you got to be really good at assessing what's worth your time. You have to be really good at assessing what you're going to give your time to. You have to be really good at assessing, okay, even when you give your time to something, how much value you're going to derive from it and you're going to create by investing the time, because your time is also an investment. Guys, I'm sharing a lot of value with you. I'm going to start doing a lot more of these videos, give you guys some more value. At the end of the day, building wealth is all about who you become. It's all about who you become and what you create. There's really nothing else to it. You have life. Jim Rohn said, life is all about your potential and the value that you bring to it. And that's it. You have the ability to bring value to your time, and that's going to determine, what results you get. That's going to determine what results you get in life, because, your time's an investment, and the consumer mentality is where most people get stuck, right? Because people don't understand, how can you become actualized and start providing value to the marketplace, right? How can you actually go out and create value? How do you make a difference? How do you make an impact on people? How do you increase the value of your time? Well, the only way to do that, really, the only way to increase the value of your time is by increasing the impact you have on other people, by increasing what you give, by increasing the value that you give to other people and what they can do with it. So it comes down to, ultimately, it's really about what kind of impact you can create, what kind of, what you can give. What can you give? Think about this. What can you give to the marketplace? What's your unique gift? Okay? Everyone has something different, but if you want to be successful, most people go through life and they do what they think they have to do, and they realize they haven't achieved a certain level of success that they think they want, and then they never change. And if you don't change, if you don't do something different, nothing's going to change. Bottom line, right? I mean, how can anything change? How can someone come and change things for you if you're not going to change who you are? So you gotta be in control of who you are. You gotta be in control of how you invest your time, and you really gotta know your own value, the value of your money. If you're gonna invest money in something, the value of the money behind it. You have to be willing to lose it, because there's always a possibility with any type of investment that it can be lost. Doesn't matter if it's securitized or buying gold from Ghana, Africa through a telegram from a Nigerian prince or whatever. You have the possibility of losing money, okay? Even if it's a good investment. So it's all about risk management. And don't trust people who give you blind facts. Question everything. Make sure you get documentation, right? Look into people's backgrounds. Make sure you know who you're doing business with. That is crucial. Always, always, always look into the backgrounds of the people you're doing business with. Assess the level of integrity these people have, right? It doesn't matter, okay? Just make sure you get a clear read on their integrity, right? And then, most of all, work on yourself. Work on yourself and determine how you can be of value and service to others. That's how you create wealth. Value and service, okay? There's no other way. I mean, the bottom line behind that is buying and owning assets, right? But as an individual, as a human being, it's value and service, right? Because if you own assets, if you own an apartment building and you don't provide value or a good service, are you going to get tenants? No, you're probably your vacancy rate will go up. You'll probably lose the property. You'll probably not have a good long-term investment. So, fundamentally, from a wealth building perspective, buy and create assets. That's how you create wealth. But from as a humanistic perspective, you have to go out in the marketplace and create value. You have to be of value and service to as many people as you can. The more people that you provide a value or service to, that you provide value or a service to, the more wealth you'll create. Did Bill Gates create a valuable product or service? Do billions of people use it? The answer is yes. I mean, that's why he's a billionaire. Okay, it comes down to ultimately what you give, ultimately what you create. And so selfish people, you'll find a lot of times that really selfish people, and there are successful people who are very greedy and selfish, but you'll find that the most selfish people, the most greedy people are usually the least successful, because people in the marketplace, they're not going to deal with someone who is not focusing on how to make sure that everybody wins, right? So how do you identify somebody who has enough integrity to work with and do business with, or potentially invest with? Integrity is number one. Look at how they spend their time. Look at who they are. Look at you have to look at these. You have to analyze these aspects of where your money is going, because ultimately, if you say you invest money with somebody or somebody's company or buy from somebody, you have to look at what's the background behind who they are and what their company has done in the past, or what they have done in the past, and what value do they create in the marketplace. because there's a necessity. Certain commodities become necessities, like the personal computer. At first they thought, who was going to want that in their house? And then Bill Gates invented it, and now everybody uses it. Every company uses it. Most people have one or two, at least one or two devices, and it's a value and service to millions and millions of people. So that's where the wealth comes from. So to summarize, do your due diligence, read the numbers, ask questions. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Okay, hands down. Okay, 20% return, every week or every month. It's just it's. If you get paid for longer than a year, call me and tell me about it. Okay, but just because you get a payout for a month doesn't mean that it's a good investment. If somebody asks you to leverage your credit to buy real estate, don't be stupid. Make sure that you're on title. Make sure that you're a principal in the deal. Don't write checks off your credit cards. That can go down a big rabbit hole too. Don't give anybody access to your credit. Don't go on and on and on. And credit's another thing too, because that impacts a lot. Credit is excruciatingly important. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they take dings along the way, or people go through things, they're trying things that don't work and they end up in bankruptcy or whatever. But so you just have to be cognizant of how you're spending your time and investing your money. And the final thought here is, no matter how much money you make or how much wealth you have to ensure that your use of the money, your purchasing power, is not over leveraged to a point. People get caught up in the lifestyle and then they blow their wealth, right? You have to have a good balance between lifestyle and wealth, because you can make all the money in the world in 1 year and your business could crash the next year. Okay, so you have to you can argue with that, and I know that most people will say, well, I'm not going to buy into that, or that's not positive thinking. No. Okay, but things happen. Okay, there's people die, businesses go out of business, business partners cheat, things happen. Okay, so those are facts. That's the reality. And you have to basically protect yourself, learn how to protect your wealth and your assets, number one. Okay, so do that before. Start doing that as soon as possible. I don't care if you only have $1,000 to your name. Start doing it. Protect that $1,000. Look at all your income and start dividing it up. Okay, start dividing it up based on, like the 20% rule. Like, if you can, save 20% of your income. Automate it, out of sight, out of mind. If you can't do it, save 10%. Otherwise, start where you can and work up to 20%. And then, we can go into all sorts of other aspects of, asset protection and that sort of stuff later. But there's a lot to that, by the way. There's a lot. Insurance and real estate. There's a lot to that. So for the purposes of just this conversation where I'm sharing some value with you, if you're still watching, thank you. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like my page on Facebook. Please go to the site, check out the podcast, share the podcast with your friends. I'm here. My goal is to be a service to everyone on the planet. My goal is to inspire people to achieve their highest potential. Every person on the planet. That's my goal. I want to impact every person on the planet. So if you have a big goal, if you have a big vision, then you have the ability to make a big impact, and you have a greater potential for achieving and creating wealth. Okay? And it doesn't come easy. It doesn't. You have to work. And I'm talking about, massive levels of wealth. Okay? You can go work and get a paycheck, and you can increase your paycheck by increasing your skills and value. But you'll never get rich, right? You just won't. there are some instances where if you work for somebody else, like if you're in sales or if you do, depending on your field or your arrangement, then yeah, it's possible. It's possible to get equity or to, get compensated in a, fantastic amount. But outside of that, to create massive wealth, you have to create a product or service that impacts the world, that impacts at least hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, if you want to create a vast amount of wealth. So I hope this was a value to you and an inspiration to you. And again, subscribe to my channel, like my page, and comment. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. Thanks.